Librarians, in this video, we will look at how you enter information about your assigned and other activities and duties into the Faculty and Librarian Success Portal. There's a job aid available on the website for the Faculty and Librarian Success Portal. To find it, go down to Training, Videos, and Guides. Then you'll look at Librarians Data Entry. You can then download the job aid. Let's take a moment and look at that. In the job aid, you will see all of the different topics and what you might want to enter. The things that are really going to be highlighted here are going to be the things that are unique to you, but it will include all of the steps walking you through how to log in, how to indicate if something is just for yourself or whether you want to include it in your ALR. There will be screenshots to walk you through every step. So for example, here it would show how you select activities, what you would like to add or enter, how you would save information. In addition to the screenshots that will show you how you could walk through the system once you're already in there, the job aid will also have links that will take you to exactly the right place within the system. So for example, here, while I'm hovering over education, you can see that it's showing what the website is. If you click on this, it will go exactly into the system where you would need to enter or would want to enter your educational information. Within that job aid, the links are provided for all of the recommended sections. Now let's go ahead and log into the portal and we'll look at how you navigate or enter things within the portal itself. So from the portal's webpage, we're going to go ahead and log in. How you add, merge, delete activities, upload publications is exactly the same for both faculty and librarians. This video will focus on the unique aspects of the portal for librarians. So once we've logged in, you'll then come in to either the home screen or your profile. Let's look at the home screen for just a moment. Once your annual librarian report has been assigned, you'll have a to-do here for getting ready to submit that workflow. Another thing that you can look at from this screen is the ability to add an activity. So this is one of the ways that you can proceed. If we selected Add Activity, what we would see is some of the top activities that you've been entering in most frequently. And if we scroll down, you'll be able to see all of the different activities broken apart by sections, and one unique section for the librarians about your performance of assigned duties and responsibilities. Okay. The other place that we can get to this information is from your profile. Okay. So here, you're going to have information for each section that we just looked at. I've just clicked into the personal and contact information. You'll see some information in this system where the box is grayed out, and there's going to be a little box, a little lock. If you hover over any of these symbols in the system, like this lock, you'll be able to see additional information about what that symbol means. In this case, it means that you do not have access to modify this field. This type of display where something is grayed out and locked is going to be for anything where the information is pulled in from a different system. So something that's coming in from HR or something that's coming in from grants and contracts. So if you find that there is information in one of these grayed out fields that needs correcting, that's going to need to be corrected in the original system that the data was pulled from. In order to figure out what that original system is, I recommend that you reach out to the Faculty and Librarian Success Portal team. Their email is on the website so that you can contact them directly. This section on biography and expertise does not feed into your ALR. This section is providing content for yourself and in the future potentially support other university initiatives. The section on highlights and supporting comments for the annual reports is optional. Let's take a look at what is in here. So you would, if you were wanting to add some of these highlights, you would want to do them for whatever reporting year it was that you were looking at. I'm, for this example, going to add one for the 2025-26 year. So I'm going to academic year 25-26. And then there's all sorts of different high-level summaries that I can have the option of including here. Note that there is another place to do this for your librarianship. But if you wanted to include additional information or supporting documents at that very high level, this is a place that you can do that. Overall, for teaching and advising, scholarship and research, creative activity, service, engaged outreach, diversity, equity, and inclusion. If you are doing these comments or highlights for yourself in your own record keeping, but you do not want them included in your ALR, then you would select this Do Not Include in AFR ALR box. If you want that information to be in your ALR, then do not click the box. Okay, and so I'm just going to put in some draft text so that we can see where this would show up when we do the printout in a moment. Once you've entered your text, click Save to continue. You'll notice here that we now have 25-26 showing up, as well as any prior years where you had entered information. Once you're ready to proceed, we'll hit the back arrow, which will go back to our profile. Next on the screen, you will see impact statements. Again, this is an optional section. The impact statements are to capture any major disruptions that affect your work. Again, you would go to Add New and select whatever year is the relevant year for which you're entering information. For this example, I'm going to use the 2025-26 academic year. Here, you would say whatever sort of impact you're dealing with. So I'm going to say that federal disruptions, affected research funding and acquisitions. You can provide as much or as little detail as you'd like. And again, you can choose to enter these just for your own record and remembrance by selecting that you do not want to include it in your AFR or ALR. If you do not select that box, then it will be included. Once you're ready, you can click Save to continue. And again, hit the arrow to go back to your profile. The information on yearly UMass appointment data is mostly set by HR, but you should check this information and see if anything needs correcting. You can add information in any of these other sections. And again, the job aid will walk you through the recommended sections for librarians. You can add any information or sections that seem relevant to you in addition, either to include in your ALR or for your own personal record. Let's look at an example of entering a development activity. So I've selected into faculty and librarian development activities attended. This is any sort of activity that contributes to your professional development. So let's go ahead and add new, right? And then we're going to have an activity type. Let's say that you attended an OFD workshop, and this particular workshop supports your um, service and leadership, whatever the workshop name is. You would enter it here. For OFD, these are going to be able to be found in your past events. If your sponsoring organization is elsewhere, not at UMass, or if it's one that is not in that list up ahead above, like CTL and OFD, then you might want to enter the sponsoring organization. This is a great way to remember, where you went or how you engaged with a certain development activity, where it was. If the activity is part of some sort of continuing education credit, including that information, and any sort of references that are helpful. Again, you can choose to just keep a record of these for yourself, or you can choose to include them in your ALR. You do need to enter a date. So dates are very important in this system in order for them to show up in the report that you run. If you are going to an event that is only on one day, then you want to leave that start date blank and include the end date. If you have an activity that you've started but that is not completed, then you would have a start date with no end date. And if you went to, say, a workshop that was a week long, then you would have start and end dates. So we're going to say that this was a one-day event. We're just going to say that it was February 6th. And for this sample report, we're going to say that this was February 2026, so that it shows up with the other information that I'm running. Okay, and so we'll click Save there. And then here you see that that's been added into our information. Now, the most important section for librarians is going to be the one that says, for the librarian's performance of assigned duties and responsibilities. This is down at the bottom of the screen. All right, so we're going to select into for the librarian's performance of assigned duties and responsibilities. This section is at the bottom of the profile, but when you print your ALR, it will be at the top of your ALR. So it will be highlighted very prominently for your review process. Now let's go to Add New. You're going to want to select whatever fiscal year that you are currently reporting your activities for. For this example, I'm going to use 25-26. So I'm going to select the 25-26 fiscal year. This is very important. If you accidentally enter the wrong year, then any information that you enter won't pull into the correct ALR. Okay, so once we've entered the fiscal year, we're going to see three boxes here. The first box is describing your contributions or activities for the period under review, highlighting what you feel are most reflective or significant in your work, a place to describe any changes in responsibilities or challenges during the year, and a place where you can upload one supporting document. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and enter some information here so that we can see what this will look like when we go to run the ALR report in just a moment. For the file that you are going to upload, if you want to upload one, you can either select here and then go into upload, or you can drag and drop it. I'm just going to drag and drop a file. Once you're all done, click Save. It's important to remember that each of our librarians have very different roles. So any teaching, research, creative activity, service, any of those other pieces, public engagement that are included in your work can be incorporated into the other sections in your profile. Now, let's look at how to run a report and check that everything's accurate. So we're going to go to reports over here on the side. I'm going to select the Annual Librarian report. It is automatically going to populate with the current ALR date range. Go ahead and select Run Report. That'll show up in your Downloads folder. After you download this draft ALR, this will give you a chance where you can go through and check everything that you've entered. Now, very importantly, if you make any changes in this Word document, they will not also be made in the system. And so you can use this as an opportunity to edit your text or make sure that everything is correct, but you then need to go back and make the changes in the Faculty and Librarian Success portal itself so that those changes are reflected in your ALR when you run the report that will actually go to your librarian personnel committee. And so here we can go ahead and look through this. We've got the contact information and education. Remember, I mentioned that the performance of assigned responsibilities is at the bottom of that portal, but it will show up at the top of your ALR once you run the report. And so here you'll see those three boxes as well as the supporting PDF here. And then if you have any other information that you entered in those other areas, for example, scholarship activities, instructional activities, the information from your CERTIs, any sort of other information, those will be included here as well. Some common errors to check for while you are looking through that document include things not showing up because you forgot the date to include the dates or included the wrong dates, or you accidentally selected do not include an ALR when you wanted something there, or you forgot to check that box when there was something that you didn't want there. So those are some of the things that you will be looking for as you go through that. Once you are happy with everything and you're ready to submit, you're going to be able to go forward with that submission process. We've got a whole nother video on that topic, so be sure to check that out. And again, the job aid is available to support you through the entire submission process, as well as the support team, which you can reach through the website.